It's the dry martini. This is the #1 cocktail in the world. It might not necessarily be the top of the list of the most drunk, but it is recognized as the cocktail, the grandfather of all cocktails. We test bartenders' abilities by how well they make this drink. Everyone's got their idea of what makes a perfect dry martini. Let's see if we can make our own perfect Worthing Gin dry martini. So a little bit of background for you. Lots of stories about where this came from. 1910 is my favourite one, when J.D. Rockefeller went into the Knickerbocker Hotel in New York and was made this drink by the Italian bartender, Signor Martini. That's where the name came from. But actually J.D. Rockefeller himself thought it was a rather dry drink, and that's why they called it the dry martini. Now these days, when we talk about dry, as in the dryness of how dry you want your martini, we're talking about the dryness of the gin. Therefore, the more dry it is, the higher the proportion of gin and the lower the proportion of dry vermouth. The fact that this is called martini is purely coincidental, has nothing to do with the drink itself. Okay, so let's go. Let's make our perfect dry martini. I'm going to start by taking my martini glass, and everything needs to be cold with this. So if you can't keep your glasses in its own refrigerator or freezer to keep them cold, then at this stage we're going to chill it down. I'm going to chill it by adding some crushed ice. I'm just going to fill up my glass with crushed ice. Let me just put in a little bit more here. And I'm going to let it stand with this crushed ice. Let's put that to the side with this crushed ice and some water. So some water is going to help the temperature just to dissipate evenly around the glass, so that by the time I come to actually serve this drink, this is going to be a nice cold martini glass. All right, there we go. So let's now make the drink. When it was originally invented, it was a combination of gin and dry vermouth, but pretty much 50-50. But as I explained earlier, as tastes have become drier over the years, the gin proportion has got higher, the vermouth proportion has got lower, to the point where today we just put a splash of vermouth in, and people have all sorts of techniques for how they can add just the smallest amount. I'm going to show you one of those. I'm going to start by putting ice into my mixing glass. So I'm filling it up pretty high. Let's get some more in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to this some of the dry vermouth, but quite a bit more than I actually want in the drink. I'm going to put a fair old shot in. I'm just going to trickle it over the ice so that it does cling to the ice. There we go, a little bit. And then I am going to stir the vermouth around with the ice. And so what I'm starting to do is I'm starting to chill down the mixing glass as well. But I'm also getting that vermouth all over the ice at the bottom of this mixing glass. There we go, let's stop there. Now, this is far too much vermouth for what I want. I'm looking for something with just a splash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my strainer and I'm going to strain this vermouth. I've got a sink down here, just in case you're wondering where it's going. I'm going to strain this into the sink. So in actual fact, all that remains in there is the vermouth that is now clinging to the ice at the bottom of my mixing glass. And actually, is that enough? Well, for me, for sure. If I do this, I can definitely get the aroma of the vermouth. It is certainly present and in there, but subtle enough for what is going to be a perfect dry martini. Important to pick the right gin, obviously. With Worthing Gin, you have a gin which is London Dry in style. It has a certain herbal aromatic to it, but very subtle. And it got a real touch of maltiness, which I love about this gin. So I'm going to add, first of all, 50 ml of gin. And then I'm just going to top it up with a little bit more. In fact, I've emptied out my bottle. That's how much I've been making drinks with our Worthing Gin. And we have just about enough now. So we've got almost 3 shots, about 70 ml of gin in there. And of course, whatever vermouth has clung to the ice. Now I'm going to stir it again. And when I stir, what's key is that it's really fast but a smooth stir. So I'm chilling and mixing, but there's hardly any dilution because we're not shaking it. The ice is not smashing against itself and disintegrating. It's all smooth. And you can see actually the drink is starting to rise up. It's getting higher in the glass as we mix it down. So we're good now and ready to serve. I'm going to take my martini glass. I'm emptying out the water and what was the ice. And you can see now my glass is nice and frozen. Perfect time to take our martini and gently strain into our chilled martini glass. And you can see that because I've been stirring the gin and vermouth mixture, well, what happens is the mixture becomes quite viscous. It sort of thickens up a little bit, and you can see it pushing up against the side of the glass. You can see the chill moving up the side of the glass as well. So at this stage, we would have a garnish for our martini, and there are two very particular garnishes. One is an olive. It should be a green olive, not stuffed. If you start to stuff them, then the drink changes its name. If it's a black olive, it becomes a black eye martini. So it has to be a green olive. But I'm not going to put an olive in because you know how to do that. You just drop the olive in, maybe on the end of the cocktail stick. But what I am going to do is I'm going to serve this one with a twist of lemon. So what you do is you take a fresh lemon, and we want to take a really nice piece of peel from the side of the lemon, because what we are trying to do is capture the oils in the skin of this piece of lemon. So I hold skin side down over the drink and I just give it a squeeze and a twist. Now you can't see it from where you are, but what's happening is the lemon oils are distributing on the surface of the drink and just sitting there, so that when you hold this drink to your mouth to drink it, you get this incredible citrus aroma lifting from the surface of the drink. That is what a twist is in a martini. Now, putting this in the drink is not a twist. Actually, this is just a piece of skin that we don't need anymore. But people tend to expect to see it in there, so you can hang it over the side like so, or you can drop it in like I have done there. And that is our classic super dry Worthing Gin martini with a twist.